It is Wednesday, my dudes, which means it's time for another First Thoughts and Initial Impressions Epic 7 video. This one is the second of 3 videos covering the Frieren Beyond Journeys and collab characters, and it is on my personal favorite character from the show, Fern. In case you missed it though, I will link the first part, which is my impressions on Frieren, down in this video's description, and after you're done watching this one, you can check out my impressions on Stark, again, also linked down below. Anyways, as with all of my First Thoughts Initial Impressions videos, I'll give you my 2 cents on Fern. Do I think she's good? What types of gear and artifacts would I play her on? Where would I use her? All of those things you've come to expect from me in a First Thoughts and Initial Impressions video. And I'll also, along the way, point out a couple of Easter eggs relating to the animations that are in her skills. Anyways, without any further ado, let's take a look at Fern's S3 animation.
準備はできましたか？フリーレン様が一番楽しそうに見えますね。好きだらけです。これでどうですか？あなたが私を知ろうとしてくれたことがたまらなく嬉しいのです。
Just like with Frieren's animations, Fern's are literal one-to-one references with the show itself. Fern's Skill 3 references 3 different shots from throughout the Frieren Beyond Journeys and series, not just from one specific scene. The startup animation is a reference to episode 9, the attack animation is recreated from episode 26, and the final frames are a different shot from a different scene in episode 9. And as always, with my impressions videos, I like to give a shout out to the voiceover artists that bring the characters I love to life. In the Japanese dub of Frieren as well as Epic 7, Fern is voiced by Ichinose Kana. You may recognize her voice as that of Soletta Mercury from Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury, as well as Hisui from Tsukihime and the Melty Blood franchise. Moving on to Fern's stats, she is an Ice Mage of the Scorpio Zodiac symbol. She shares a stat line with a long, probably forgotten collab hero, Giselle. Taking a closer look at her stats, she has 1,286 attack, 652 defense, 4,733 health, 103 base speed, 27% critical hit chance, 160% starting critical hit damage, and no starting effectiveness or effect resistance. This translates to pretty high attack and very high starting critical hit chance and critical hit damage, but it comes at the cost of having below average speed and pretty low health overall. Taking a look at her imprint, she has attack percentage for the top and bottom slots of her team, and her self-imprint is critical hit chance. This means that dupes are really good on her because if you're playing an offensive team, you're obviously going to want to have those attack percentage imprints, and critical hit chance is the most valuable self-imprint for a DPS in the game. As always, before I talk about how good I think Fern is as a character, let's break down her kit so that way we're all on the same page, starting with her Skill 2 passive, Exceptional Magical Talent. At the start of the first battle, gains 3 to 5 focus depending on skill level. Increases Fern's speed by 15% and her evasion by 20% for each focus that she has to a maximum of 5. When successfully evading, will consume 1 focus and decreases her skill cooldowns by 1 turn. Moving on to her Skill 3, it is the Spell to Kill Demons release, aka Zoltrak release. You gain 1 focus upon use as well as 3 souls, and it has a 5 to 6 turn cooldown depending on skill level. After granting increased attack to Fern for 1 turn, attacks the enemy with the Spell to Kill Demons. Penetrates the enemy's defense by a whopping 70%. Damage dealt increases proportional to Fern's speed. Begins the first battle with a full skill cooldown count. That's a fancy way of saying that you can't use her Skill 3 ultimate at the start of battle. You have to actually wait or charge it up through other means. And finally, Fern's basic attack skill, the Spell to Kill Demons. Again, Zoltrak. I guess we just didn't want to have 3 skills with the same name in the collab, so here we are. You gain 1 focus upon use. After granting increased attack to Fern for 1 turn, attacks the enemy with magic. When focus is 3 or higher, decreases skill cooldowns by 1 turn, so essentially that charges up her ultimate, as we just talked about. Damage dealt increases proportional to Fern's speed. Soul burn effect for the cost of 10 souls changes it into an AoE attack that cannot trigger a dual attack or counter attack. Now that you know the kit, let's talk about the character. Fern is, in my opinion, a top tier counter character in 2 senses, hence why my thumbnail is the way that it is. One is as a literal counter character, one who primarily relies on counterattacks to win the battle. The other is as a counter pick that deals with one of the most difficult to answer playstyles in the game. When you consider that this is a collab that's going to have a bunch of new players coming into a 7-year-old PvP focused gacha game, I think that Fern, in the way that she's designed, is pretty genius for several reasons that I'll talk about in a moment. Let's start with her first role, which is as a counter-attacker. It doesn't take a genius to see that Fern was designed with the Riposte set in mind. If you're a brand new player to Epic 7 and don't know what the Riposte set is, it is a set of equipment that lets the user counter with their basic attack skill 70% of the time whenever they dodge. Exceptional magical talent, Fern's passive, gives her a bunch of free dodge chance that is tied to her focus level. When it's fully skilled up, she's going to start the battle with 100% dodge chance, meaning that she'll be able to guarantee dodge and counter with a great deal of regularity as long as she's on that set. This is especially important because remember, her ultimate, Zoltrak Release, isn't available at the start of combat, but her basic attack, the skill that you're going to be countering with, does charge up that same ultimate skill. So Fern is the type of character to sit back, dodge incoming blows, and then unload on the opponent when the time is right, just like it is in the anime. The reason why it's genius though is because the Riposte set will be only 2 weeks old when the Frieren collab goes live, meaning that both veterans and new players are on equal footing when it comes to gear quality on this front. That means that veterans don't really have an overwhelming advantage over the new players. And the Riposte set, it drops from a new level that's trivially easy to clear with almost anything you throw at it. Most of the free-to-play units that the game is going to give you at the start can clear that level with your eyes closed. That means that we have a very easy-to-gear character for new players, and it's powerful to boot. And I do mean powerful. Anyone who has played against Setsuka, New Kid Auden, and especially Afternoon Soak Flan knows how strong these characters are and how difficult they are to deal with reliably because of the dodge chance in their kit. While she lacks the explosive firepower that someone like Flan brings to the team for turn 1, Release having a 70% defense penetration clause along with nearly 1300 base attack on Fern means that she's going to be putting up some pretty high single target DPS, especially because that ultimate is pretty spammable if she gets enough counters to lower the cooldown. And this basic attack that you're going to be countering with, it's pretty good. It giving an attack buff before it deals damage means that Fern can reach her full offensive power from just a mere counterattack, not necessarily needing a turn like some other characters. And the Soul Burn is very strong as well, since it ignores counterattacks. This makes it great versus other dodge units, since many of them punish you with nasty counterattacks when you try to hit them. These types of moves are just always valuable. Anyways, let's table back and talk about Fern's passive some more, as this is where the other meaning of counter I referred to earlier is coming from. In the series, Frieren always stresses how Fern's speed is her greatest strength when compared to her master. Obviously, this is reflected in the huge boost to speed that Fern gets based on her focus stacks. 15% per focus stack is actually huge. That's 75% at full focus, and Fern could quite literally become the fastest character in Epic 7 because of it, and it's not even particularly close. Even Zio, the de facto I have turn 1 character, cannot race Fern. She is that fast. Given no set bonuses or even speed substats or boots, Fern is at minimum clocking in at 180 speed. And it goes way up from there. How much? Well, I'm not 100% sure here, and my calculations might be a little off in this section, so please bear with me. The reason for that is because I'm unsure if the 75% speed boost is just off of her 103 base speed, or if it is off of her total speed in game, so I'm just going to do both calculations for argument's sake here in this section. If the extra 75% speed factors your total speed, then at 205 base speed, Fern's adjusted speed is actually 359. Consider Zio now, who most people play between 260 and 280 speed based on what rank you are. So like the fastest ones in the world are around 280 speed. He is going to get 20% of the fastest unit's speed added to his thanks to his passive Supreme Authority. So if Fern clocks in at 359 speed, that means Supreme Authority gets an extra 72 speed for Zio. 280 speed plus 72 is 352. Therefore, Fern still outspeeds him. That means that a glass cannon damaged Fern could just kill the Zeo with her S1 at the start of the battle because he's not going to have DFI, and that just completely undoes most Zeo team's setups. Now, if you only get 75% of her base speed, effectively giving you an extra 77 speed, it's a little bit different. With 20 speed per piece average, which is obtainable for most veteran or high-end players, if you take that and put it on the speed set with speed boots, then Fern is going to clock in at 274 speed. With the extra 77 speed factored in for the passive, that gives you 351 speed on Fern. Now, a 280 speed Zeo with Supreme Authority will now clock in at 350 speed. So yeah, it's speed RNG at that point because they're effectively the same speed, but Fern makes it a toss-up. Fern is still able to contest Zeo, which is insane when you think about it. That means that Fern not only has value as a slow, counter-style character such as Setsuka or New Kid Aden, but you could also build her blazing fast as an opener to contest your opponent's speed. And there's a good chance she might even come out on top. That's really wild for me to think about in the current 2 pre-ban system that we have in the game. Because currently, fast players have to ban things like Zeo and Harsetti in order for them to play fast. And then, they also have to deal with Lady of the Scales. Now, you also have to worry about Fern being lightning fast. Fern being a character that no one will see coming, just like in the show, is just way too cool and fitting for this character. Based on this, it should be pretty obvious on how you play Fern. You either play her slow on Riposte set with immunity to take advantage of her slow and steady counterattacks, or on the speed set with either penetration or torrent to race the fastest speed demons in Epic 7 and try to gun them down right from the start. It's very fitting for this character. But now, what about the artifact choice? Fern's artifact is Butterfly Hair Ornament. It gives 10 to 20% attack based on artifact level and grants her a barrier after attacking equal to 25 to 50% of her attack based again on artifact level. I think if you're going to be going the riposte route on this character, you're going to want to play Butterfly Hair Ornament. If you're going for speed though, well then Frieren's artifact feels like the no-brainer play as it allows you to flip the script on your opponent and combo them to high hell. Overall, the Frieren collab is 2 for 2 in my book. Both Frieren and Fern are incredibly powerful characters that are great for new players and veterans alike. The characters are also very clearly true to their source material, especially Fern. Her simple yet powerful kit combined with her blazing speed just makes her too perfect in my opinion. If you're pulling for Fern and can afford it, I'd try to hold on to 2 copies of her so that way you can play both styles we talked about in this video in PvP. Otherwise, make sure you pick up at least 1 copy as she is a collab limited, meaning if you miss her, there's probably never going to be another chance for you to obtain her ever again. And those are my thoughts on Fern. But now I want to hear from you. How do you feel about Fern? Let me know down in the comments section below. And don't forget to check out my impressions for both Frieren and Stark, both linked down in this video's description. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.